Okay, and starting off today's show, I wanted to introduce my guest. He is a friend of the show. He's been on a couple times before. And the thing is, we're on break, man. It's December. We're going right towards the march of playoff football. The NFL playoffs are going to be here before we know it. We're at week 16 of the NFL season. It continues to fly by. And I wanted to introduce my guest today, Andrew Wiesner. Andrew, my man, how we doing today?
Doing good, man. Yo, we're going to have a big week of football coming up, and I'm hella excited, bro.
All right, dude, let's get into it, man. So, Andrew is a friend of the show. He's been on before, but in case you don't know Andrew, I wanted to throw it over to you. Tell everyone your fandom and who your favorite team is.
Yeah, so I like the Jets a lot, and, man, I'm hoping that we do good, bro. And we're having I think we lost that on the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, but I don't know, man. It's interesting that, Zach, what do you think is going to happen?
Dude, it's going to be crazy, man, because I wanted to throw it over to you. My first question is, on Sunday at 4:30, the Jets come out playing pretty well. And it's funny because many times before this season, we've seen the Jets be competitive. In the Raider game, we both agree that throughout that game, the Jets were significantly the better team. We deserved to win that game. I think the same argument could have been made about the Patriot game on Monday Night Football. We could have easily won that game. And even though we all know that by season's end, hopefully Adam Gase will be fired. Hopefully the Jets don't, run the table, go 3-13, and bring him back for another 2 years. I really hope that doesn't happen. But the Jets were looking like an 0-16 team, man. And I don't know about you, but my first question is, a lot of people have been saying, oh, the Jets are so dumb. They lost out on the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. What are they doing? The Jets are cursed. I got to be honest with you, man. The Jets have been a franchise that over the last couple of years haven't really provided us with many good memories. But at the same time, as pathetic as the Jets have been, let the Lions have 0-16. Let the Browns have 0-16. I didn't want that to happen, and we spend all season with our blood, sweat, and tears so excited about football and so excited to watch this team. And it sucks rooting against your own team, but when they're playing like crap, okay, you could kind of understand it. But at the same time, when they're competitive and they come out ready to play, I really liked the effort I saw on Sunday.
Yeah, it was a very impressive win, man. Quinnen Williams just stood out, taking over the game in the first couple of quarters. And, a lot of the young guys did extremely well, and I like that. And Sam Darnold looked like he was playing pretty well as well. And, we'll see in these next 2 games if he's going to be able to snag a few more wins and maybe not even let us get Trevor Lawrence so he'll stay for another year. So, yeah, I was really impressed, man. But at the same time, dude, really stings going 0-13 and then winning one game just to lose out on, the number 1 draft pick. It's going to be – that's, the big stinger, man. But, yeah, it was impressive, though.
The thing is, dude, it's crazy. I think one thing that not a lot of people realize, and we're diehard fans, so you'll understand what I mean, but I think that when we look at this whole situation, right, if you are a third-string corner for an 0-16 team, and then the coaching staff is gone, what does that mean for the rest of your career? If you're a backup corner on an 0-16 team, are you going to be playing for another team next year? Probably not. So, bro, when you're in the NFL, you need to be good at putting out as much good tape as possible so you could keep a job, so you could have a living. And that's why, the Jets, it was obviously a shocking win, but at the same time, once again, the boys came out ready to play. Sam Darnold played really well. I really like, as you said, what we saw from Quinnen Williams. Marcus May had a couple of really nice plays. And I didn't want this team to go 0-16, man. They've been working the whole season. It would have been awful, and seeing a New York Jet win, man, it's fun.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, it was finally fun to see a win for once in a while, but, I liked it as well, and I think all the players definitely liked it as well, because they weren't going to be in like you said, the third team in the NFL to go 0-16, so that is the good side of it.
Well, the thing I'm going to ask you now is this. Many people have been saying, okay, so now odds are assume the Jaguars, for conversation's sake, lose their next two games. They have home against the Bears and at Indianapolis. If they lose their next two games, they're going to have the number 1 pick and most likely take Trevor Lawrence. So that would leave the Jets with the number 2 pick. And they have many different options they could use that number 2 pick on. A lot of people will just say, take Justin Fields. He was a guy that going into this season, keep in mind, a very weird season with COVID and everything that's been going on. He is at Ohio State, and the Big Ten didn't start their season until mid-October. He's only played 6 games, and he didn't look good against Northwestern. We'll see how he does in the Sugar Bowl against Trevor Lawrence and Clemson in that defense led by Brent Venables. But at the same time, I do feel like the majority of Jet fans and a lot of other voices around the league are saying, if the Jets don't love Justin Fields, don't take him. And we could use that number 2 pick on many other things. The Jets have a lot of other holes that this team needs to fill. The more I think about it, I do think that Sam Darnold is a quarterback that, am I confident he's going to be the future? I'm not 100% sure, but I've seen many other quarterbacks around this league really succeed depending on situations.
Yeah, man. I mean, just look at Baker Mayfield, bro. Like, he just had a new coach all of a sudden, and now look, the team's 10-3 or even 11-3.
Oh yeah, 11-3.
Yeah, they're doing really good, man. And I think Sam Darnold's the same type of quarterback. Like, you see flashes and you see it with bad talent. Like last week when he made that perfect dot to Braxton Berrios that he dropped on the run, and that shows the potential. He can make like throws Patrick Mahomes can make. So yeah, I really like that part about him, and I hope the Jets actually retain him.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You mentioned Baker Mayfield. I think that's a really good example because Baker Mayfield is a guy, obviously, in the same quarterback class as Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield was a guy that was in 3 different offenses throughout his first 3 years of his career. All of a sudden, he gets a coach like Kevin Stefanski, who's a genius, and he gets a downgrade at receiver at Odell Beckham. And I hate to say it, Baker Mayfield has been significantly better since Odell has been out of the lineup because he's not forcing the ball to him, and he's been slinging the ball as of late. Ryan Tannehill is the other guy that comes to mind for me. In Miami, with Joe Philbin, with Adam Gase, he couldn't do anything. And then all of a sudden he goes to Tennessee with good coaching in Mike Vrabel and Arthur Smith. And Ryan Tannehill, I know you can make the argument, oh, Derrick Henry is carrying the team. He's very good, but Ryan Tannehill is a top 12 quarterback in this league. I think if you give Sam Darnold a coach that's not Adam Gase, or a coach that's not freaking Todd Bowles and Jeremy Bates and that, boring-ass offense, I think Sam Darnold with weapons as well, if he's put in a proper position to succeed, and that's up to Joe Douglas and the rest of the offseason to set up, but I think if you give this guy a legit shot, why not?
Yeah. No, really, Zach. I think, especially if you have the number 2 pick, you can trade back and then even get another first-round pick, possibly, and still get, one of the top tackles prospects in a long time. And that could easily help the rebuild go a little more faster, and then you draft a guy from Pitts, the tight end, and you get more weapons about Darnold and a new coach like Eric Bieniemy or Joe Brady, and yeah, bro, we could see a drastic improvement, and that's what I kind of want Darnold now.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the draft because one thing that I've really realized, dude, as I've gotten older, as I've been studying this game of football more, is that you win through the draft, man. In order to rebuild quickly and in order to succeed quickly, you have to draft well. And I do think, I know it's early, I do like the signs of Joe Douglas' first draft. Mekhi Becton has been phenomenal. I think Denzel Mims could be a player. And I think if you give Joe Douglas another draft this year with the capital we have right now what looks like to be the number 2 pick and Seattle's pick. If the Jets don't love Justin Fields, I would love to trade back. We all know, dude, how desperate on draft night teams are for quarterbacks. And if the Jets really do believe in Sam Darnold, if they really want him to be the answer, and I do think, bro, this is going to be Sam's 4th year. If it doesn't work out this year under a new coach, we move on. It's fine. It's not a huge deal. We don't need to be very good very quickly. We have a shit ton of cap space. We have a lot of draft picks in the next 2 drafts. But if the Jets somehow trade back, we could be looking at a team, bro, that has 3 first-round picks in 1 draft. That is how you win in the NFL. Yeah. Look at a team like the Miami Dolphins. They trade Laramie Tunsil. They get 2 first-round picks, and they have a top 4 pick this year. That's going to be a pick that could really save the franchise. They also have a quarterback in Tua that's very good. They have a coach in Brian Flores that obviously the players love to play for. I think that's the kind of guy the Jets need as a head coach.
Yeah. And we need a gritty coach, and I think this coach is going to be the most important thing this offseason. We have a lot of cap space, but the coach is the biggest part of the team, and I really hope they draft a good coach and they don't they don't go for a reach Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
I hope they don't.
It's funny you mentioned Bill Cowher, dude, because here's my thing. Mm-hmm. You and I have had this conversation all the time, but I gotta tell you guys, man. Any Jet fan that is listening to this show, man, I gotta tell you this. You could say, we want Bill Cowher, we want Coach Jim Harbaugh, we want a leader of men. And I get it, man. If you want to win in the NFL, it is hard not to do that with a head coach that isn't respected by all 53 guys in the locker room. As my guy John said on Tuesday's episode of this podcast, if you're an NFL head coach, you have to be a guy that is significantly older than 53 men in a locker room that are making significantly more money than you, a lot of alpha personalities, and you have to demand respect from them. And I totally understand. But at the same time, if the Jets want to be good, and the Jets want to do it as quick as possible, when their rookie quarterback is on his rookie deal, and at the same time, if we draft a quarterback, whatever we do at the quarterback position, I want to be good as soon as possible. So, what does that mean? I think it means that we have to put that quarterback in the best position to succeed. Andrew, I'm going to bring up a name that throughout the preseason we've been talking about a lot. Josh Allen. That is a guy that going into the NFL season, both of us were not too high on. But I do think that as time has gone on, the situation the Buffalo Bills have put him in to succeed has been phenomenal. Sean McDermott is a great coach. He's a leader of men that whole locker room respects. Brandon Beane is a GM that put Josh Allen in the best position to succeed, giving him Stephon Diggs. Andrew, I've never seen a quarterback take as big a leap as Josh Allen has from his second year to his third year. It's unprecedented. And I do think when you look at Sam Darnold, has he been perfect throughout his first couple of years? No. But if you give him a receiver like Stephon Diggs, an improved offensive line, and a really good head coach like a Joe Brady or an Arthur Smith, I don't think the Jets could be that far off when you look at the amount of draft capital we have as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, Josh Allen has a great offensive line, and we have a chance to draft a top offensive lineman, solve that problem. Then we have a chance to, sign Allen Robinson, a number one receiver like Stephon Diggs. We don't even have to give up draft capital. We continue to develop our defense. Yeah, we can easily make that jump. And, I mean, if you look at it, man, we watch games every week, and we see Darnold make these throws that are just incredible, that we don't even expect to happen. And it's just he makes this stupid mistakes, but with a good coach, that could be fixed. And, yeah, man, I see this guy also, taking a leap as well if we surround him with the right talent.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think that's the thing as a Jet fan you have to be looking forward to, is that when you look at this team, man, it's been a crappy year. It's been obviously a tough year. But at the same time, there are reasons to be optimistic. So I'm going to ask you, man, we spoke on this show right after the Raider game. There have obviously been a couple games since. When you look at this team, man, the Jets will play Week 16 against the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, that's a Browns offense that's humming right now. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a good test, man, because Jared Goff is kind of a similar quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I think if you get in Baker's face, the Jets could maybe be competitive in this game. Yeah. And the Browns' offensive line is really good. I totally understand that. But the way Quinnen Williams and the boys are playing, let's see how this defense does here.
Yeah, bro. I mean, look, Quinnen Williams is obviously the key cornerstone of this defense, and I want to see him get another few sacks at the end of the season, a strong ending, and I want him to, him and Bryce Hall. I mean, Bryce Hall is a steal, a diamond in the rough. He's been impressing me every week, going against the number one, doing a decent job about it, and one key name I also want to just say is Neville Hewitt. He's a pretty underrated inside linebacker, but he always makes plays every Sunday, so I hope the Jets retain him as well.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about Neville Lewis and just the rest of the linebacking core, I think that's a very underrated part of the team. Mm-hmm. I understand Avery Williamson is gone, but he was on his last legs, but C.J. Mosley opted out of the season. Hopefully next year he will be back and ready to go at a high level. Blake Cashman is another guy that hasn't played at all this season. I think he could be another guy that had a phenomenal year last year. Guys like Neville Hewitt, I look at this defense, and I think they Basham as well. That's another guy I don't mind. I think he could be a guy that could be on this team for long term. when you look at the rest of this Jets team, man, what other areas do you think going into the offseason they could improve on? I know the offensive line with Becton is obviously very good. Center could be a position that long-term we may need to address, maybe another guard as well. Obviously, we want to surround our quarterback with weapons, but going into this Jets offseason, what other positions would you want this team to fill?
Well, I think we're going to have to target a few things on defense. So I think we need another cornerback because, Bryce Hall is a good cornerback number 2. I think Lamar Jackson proved that he's incapable of doing good in this league. So,
what about Bless Austin?
Yeah, Bless Austin, I looked at the game last week. He made 3 penalties that just cost us first downs, even though we won. And he just makes too many mistakes. He's not a starting cornerback, in my opinion. So, yeah, we need cornerback. And then I don't know what the free agency market is looking at right now, but we need to get an edge rusher somehow.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, dude.
Yeah.
One thing I actually think could be a really good part of this team, and, for a long time, what do you think of Marcus May? Do you want him to be here long term? Because I think you combine him and Ashton Davis, that could be a combo that in the secondary could be a really good part of this team. Marcus May, I understand he's not a perfect player, but he's a guy that's been on this team, compared to everyone else for what seems like 10 years. I understand it's only his 4th year in the league, but he's a guy that's been part of this team for a long time, and he made the game-stealing play last week. I was happy for him.
Yeah, me too. I definitely think he's our number 1 guy in the secondary, and I hope we retain him because he's a big playmaker. He can go against DK Metcalf and get an interception like that and guard and do pretty good against tight ends as well. He's an underrated piece that people sleep on, but he's going to be one of the top 5 safeties probably next year and in the years to come.
Yeah. So when you look at the Jets and the rest of the quarterback. And what the exact strategy is going to be for that position going forward. It's going to be interesting because every year in the NFL, I feel like approaching draft time, there's quarterback stocks that either really go up or really go down. When you look at this past year, I feel like, it wasn't that big of an example with Herbert and Tua and Burrow. Everyone kind of knew going into the draft, but I feel like at the same time, it was a COVID year, who knows. But then 2 years ago, bro, no one thought Daniel Jones was going to be a top 6 pick. He goes number 6 overall. We've seen the Giants really reach for a guy like that. Carson Wentz, his draft year, his stock really rose towards after the Senior Bowl. You also look at guys like Mitch Trubisky. His stock really rose. I'm interested to see if the Jets really love a guy like Zach Wilson or a guy like Trey Lance. Or even, Justin Fields right now is the consensus number 2 pick. But I think Zach Wilson from BYU could be a guy the Jets could really target. I'm curious to see if they're aggressive to reach for a quarterback like that, if they really, really like him.
Yeah, if they really think that he's a guy, then I think they're going to pull the trigger then. And I wouldn't be surprised for, Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. They're... there's not, as Trevor Lawrence is number 1, and then everyone doesn't really know what number 2 holds, everyone says that, who the guy from Ohio State?
Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields is going to go.
One thing I'll say about Lawrence, dude, is this, man. I feel like both of us are a little bit bigger Sam Darnold fans than most. We both believe that if you put him in a position to succeed, he could play really well. But at the same time, dude, we all agree that Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback prospect I've seen in a really long time. I don't know if you could say the same, but watching him play is phenomenal. And he's, as much as we love Sam Darnold, he's obviously the kind of guy that could change the franchise really quickly. And did the win against the Rams suck from that perspective that we may not get him? Yeah, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world. It's not not losing. It's not not getting him is going to cost us. If we draft well and we develop our next quarterback, we should still be very good in the next couple of years, man. That's the key to winning in this league. And if we really think a guy like Sam Darnold could be the quarterback of the future, and Joe Douglas and the rest of his talent personnel development team really likes a guy like Sam Darnold opposed to a Zach Wilson or a Trey Lance or a Mac Jones or a Kyle Trask, whoever, then I just want Joe Douglas to put Sam Darnold or whoever the quarterback of the future is in the best position as possible.
Yeah, I think that, we have a lot of picks and a lot of cap space, so we can definitely do that opportunity with a rookie or Sam Darnold. So, yeah, I think we're going to be good either way. I think we're going to make pretty good moves this offseason.
All right, so that will do it for this segment of the show. We'll be moving on.